This is a mock interview conducted by Forum IAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
May I come in, sir?
Please come in.
Thank you, sir.
आइए बैठिए.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please
Thank you.
have a seat. Feel comfortable and take off your mask. So Namrata, you're a student of sociology, I find. Okay, in the last 100 years, what significant changes have taken place in the caste system of India?
Sir, I think in last 100 years, caste system has become less rigid, especially in our urban centers. Due to migration and growing industrialization and urbanization, the caste discrimination has become less. But in the villages mostly and those kind of settings, caste discrimination persists, but in different kind of forms. For example, earlier entry to the temples on the name of caste and fetching water from water bodies, etc. were not allowed. But these kind of discrimination after the abolition of untouchability and prevention of SC/ST atrocity act, these kind of acts have diminished, but discrimination exists in more hidden forms. For example, the Dalits are not allowed to ride on a horse during the marriage procession. So in mentality, caste system exists and caste-based discrimination also exists. But we have also seen a progress on this front.
Well, you have not mentioned the most important change which has taken place in the caste system, which is earlier there used to be absence of competition between the lower caste and the upper caste. Brahmins cannot do what the Dalits do and Dalits cannot do what the Brahmins do. So there was no competition. Today castes are emerging as solidarity groups.
Yes.
And there is competition for getting a better share of the government resources of patronage.
Yes.
So it is inter-caste competition, which was totally absent 100 years back. It is now. So please do mention this important fact. There are, as you know, India, or take any state, or like take UP, you'll find every district has got many castes. Okay? There is one region in India which has only one caste among the Hindus. Which is that region?
Sir, I'm not.
Kashmir.
Okay.
Only Kashmiri Pandits. Do you know any other caste in the Kashmir Valley among the Hindus?
Sir, other scheduled caste
No.
are not there. I'm not sure.
No. Then, if this question is asked, then you should also know why is there only one caste. So
Yes,
they
sir.
could read about the Kashmir's history.
Yes, sir.
That question might be asked.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Coming to gender issues. Why is India not doing so well on gender indicators as compared to, say, Bangladesh?
The main reason, I think, is because of lack of participation of women in the economic activities and the workforce. Despite there has been a good rise in education and participation in higher education also, but due to various factors, one of them being safety concern, other being the patriarchal mindsets, women are not participating in workforce as compared to Bangladesh or other countries. So these reasons are.
Okay, you mentioned patriarchy. Is patriarchy stronger in Jharkhand or is it stronger in Punjab, and why?
In Jharkhand, it is less compared to Punjab because Jharkhand has been a tribal society, and in tribal culture, women have.
What about Bihar? Okay, compare Bihar with the Punjab.
Sir, I think Punjab is more developed state as compared to Bihar. So in Punjab, women get more education opportunities as compared to Bihar. But in terms of economic participation, women in Bihar are working more on fields as compared to Punjabi middle class women who are constricted to their houses. So there are different kind of patriarchal system in this state. But
are there historical factors why patriarchy should be stronger in Punjab?
I'm not aware.
There are two historical factors. One is Bihar was more fertile, so we needed women's labor
Yes.
to do paddy harvesting, sowing, transplanting.
Yes.
Punjab, rainfall was less, soil was more hardy. We needed man's labor to do
Yes, sir.
tilling
Yes.
soil. And the other historical factor is all the foreign attacks took place in India through Punjab, northwest India. So women had to be protected against the coming armies.
Right,
So
sir.
women became more of a liability. That's why in northwest India, we find patriarchy is stronger.
Yes, sir.
Let's come to some other issue now. If we compare, say, different states, you find that North India has not done so well as South India. Why?
Sir, South India had a good history of economic development and education system, etc. from the history itself. For example, Kerala was a pioneer in education and these kind of things. And apart from that, South India has an advantage of being a coastal environment and trade with the countries like in the Middle East and these kind. They had the historical trade relation with Roman Empire also. North India, mostly there are landlocked countries, and they also lack many of the innovative movements which have happened in South. For example, cooperative movements, self-help group have been successful in South. So these are the factors. That's why.
Plus, also mentioned British policy. British policy in the north was in respect of land in favor of zamindars and talukadars. So zamindars and talukadars had all the rights over land
Yes.
and village, so they did nothing. Whereas South India, it was the Rayatwari system.
Yes.
So British government was directly in charge of collecting revenue. So they built roads, they built schools.
Okay. Sir.
So that's a very important factor that you should mention. Okay, have you heard of ASAR?
Yes.
ASAR report. What is it all about?
It is a household-based survey conducted by NGO Pratham, which evaluates the reading and numerical skills of school-going children, especially in rural India.
What are the main findings of ASAR?
The main findings which have been found that only a very less percentage of students studying in class 3 or class 5 are able to read a textbook of their prescribed level. For example, around 25-26% students studying in class 1 are able to read class 1 books, and also in terms of mathematical skills also they are lacking.
Good. At the same time, do you know what is this percentage of students in class 5 who can read a class 2 textbook? Is it constant, declining, or improving?
Sir, I'm not sure about it.
It kept on declining first up to I think 2016 or 17, but last 4-5 years have shown there's some improvement. Lastly, there have been reports by IMF and World Bank on poverty. What are these reports and what are the findings? What are the main findings of these reports, and what has been the criticism or what has been the general response by academics in India?
World Bank defined its poverty line as $1.9 rupees per day, and according to that it defined its poverty line and gives some data about it. And according to that, around I think 25-30% of Indians are below the poverty line.
And the IMF?
IMF's poverty report I'm not.
But please read these two reports. They are very controversial. These are not, I mean, this report published by IMF, report published by World Bank. World Bank may not agree with it, but these are the documents which are on the website. IMF report says poverty has come down to 0.8%, less than 1%. World Bank says not 25%, 10%.
Okay.
So read this and read also criticism by people like Santosh Mehrotra that why these reports are not giving with the correct facts. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll look into it, sir.
Yeah. Verma से पूछिए.
ओके सो नम्रता हाउ आर यू?
फाइन सर.
ये नम्रता का मतलब क्या होता है भाई?
सर, नम्रता का मतलब है मॉडेस्टी, humility.
मोडेस्ट और हम्बल लोगों का ब्यूरोक्रेसी में कोई काम है क्या? क्या करोगे वहाँ जाकर?
सर मुझे लगता है कि मॉडेस्ट और हम्बल लोग ब्यूरोक्रेसी में काफ़ी अच्छा कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि उनमें एक होता है कि सीखने का एक ललक होता है। वो लोग हमेशा सीखते रहते हैं, कभी भी किसी एक ऐसे स्टेज पे नहीं पहुंचते हैं जहाँ से वो आगे ना बढ़ सके। दे आर कंटिन्यूसली ट्राइंग टू इम्प्रूव देमसेल्व्स। ऑल्सो दे आर रेडी टू गिव क्रेडिट टू their team members, and therefore they are good team players and good leaders. So इस तरह से मुझे लगता है कि humble लोग ज़्यादा successful हो सकते हैं.
Okay. Well, in continuation with that question only, I would like to know that you being a woman, why don't you go for some sober job like teaching and all that? Why to put yourself under so much of a stress?
Sir,
Teaching बहुत आराम का जॉब है. एंड हाउस होल्ड स्टोरेज की लड़कियों के लिए बेस्ट सूटेड जॉब है. ब्यूरोक्रेसी में फुल टाइम यू वुड बी अंडर प्रेशर, टेंशन, स्ट्रेस, वर्क, यू हैव टू इग्नोर योर फैमिली, योर फ्रेंड्स.
सर ये आई थिंक दिस नोशन ऑफ women's job and men's job is socially created, and women are more capable of handling pressure, I think, as compared to men. If we see in women's work, in household which women are working, they are handling a lot of pressure, even the pressure of their partners and husbands they are facing. And teaching is no doubt a very good and respectable job, but I'm more inclined towards this challenging job.
Okay, good. Anyway, you answered it quite nicely. Huh? In your hobby, you have mentioned reading books. Which book you have read recently?
Sir, I mostly read fictional books, which are mostly novels. So recently I have read Raag Darbari by Shri Shukla in Hindi.
क्या है उसमें?
It is basically a political satire kind of novel in which there is a village setup and there are various characters. Some are in power of position.
राग दरबारी का कोई लाइन कोट कर सकते हो जो बहुत अच्छा लगा तुम्हें? फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में एक लाइन है जो मैं पढ़ा तो बहुत देर हंसता रहा.
यस सर, एक लाइन है जिसमें ऐसा कहा गया है कि यह सुनते उसकी बाँछें खुल गई, वो शरीर में चाहे जहाँ कहीं भी हो. ऐसे करके एक लाइन.
ओके. यू आर फ्रॉम गरवा, राइट?
यस.
आई एम फ्रॉम बोकारो.
यस.
But what impression I have about Garhwa is कि Garhwa is a very backward area. I may be wrong. Technically, factually, I may be wrong. I left Bokaro long back, 17 years back. But थोड़ा उसके बारे में बताओ, Garhwa क्या है? Is it a Naxalite prone area?
Yes, sir, it is.
It is.
Yes.
Why Naxals? I mean, I think if I am not wrong, many of the districts of Jharkhand are affected by Naxal problem.
Yes, sir.
Red corridor जिसको बोलते, क्या हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है? Can we see it as a failure of bureaucracy and government?
Sir, it is a multi-dimensional problem. Main reason is underdevelopment of the regions, as Jharkhand is rich in mining resources. So when mines developed, many of the benefits were cornered by few people, and tribals were mainly exploited and displaced from their homeland. So this created a sense of dissatisfaction. And the Naxalite ideological people took benefit of this thing and lured many of the tribal youth into taking to violence in the name of getting them justice. And there has been some failures on the part of government and bureaucracy also, because even after formation of Jharkhand, 22 years have been passed, but the government has not been able to take care of the grievances of the tribal community. And these reasons are there because of that Naxalism persists in Jharkhand.
Okay. Is there any difference between Naxals of Jharkhand and tribals of Jharkhand? And who are the real victims? Tribals or Naxals?
In Jharkhand, Naxalites mainly recruit the tribal people because they are mostly uneducated and they are facing a lot of exploitation. But not all tribals are Naxals. And the real victims in Naxalite war and also the anti-Naxalite operations are tribals only, because they become pawn in the hand of both the police and many, for example, the Naxals use tribals as a shield to protect themselves from the police. And police also sometimes kill innocents by labeling them or maybe misunderstanding them as Naxalite. So tribals are the ultimate losers in this.
ओके, फर्ज करो कि तुमको लातेहार डिस्ट्रिक्ट का डीएम बना दिया जाए, क्या करोगे नक्सल इश्यूज को हैंडल करने के लिए?
सर ये एक, मैं इस पे 2 फ्रंट में काम करना चाहूँगी। पहला तो एक है लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का, उसको मैं स्ट्रेंथन करूँगी पुलिस को या स्पेशल फोर्सेस को, कि जो हार्डकोर्स नक्सल्स हैं स्पेशली इन द फॉरेस्ट ऑफ लातेहार, उनको पकड़ा जाए और उनको सज़ा दी जाए। और दूसरा एक फ्रंट होगा डेवलपमेंट का, जहाँ पे जो भी ट्राइबल्स हैं उनको लाइवलीहुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज़, फॉरेस्ट राइट और ये सब चीज़ें दी जाए, ताकि इस तरह के प्रोपेगेंडा में वो ना आए और सरकार के साथ वो जुड़ सकें।
ओके, वेल ट्रूली स्पीकिंग, डू यू थिंक इंडियन सोसाइटी रियली पैट्रियार्कल है या मैट्रियार्कल है?
सर ये मुझे लगता है कि पैट्रियार्कल है इन ट्रू सेंस।
वी ऑल मैरिड पीपल थिंक दैट सोसाइटी इज हाईली मैट्रियार्कल। हमारा घर में नहीं चलता, हमारी बीवी का चलता है, तो पैट्रियार्कल कैसे हुआ?
सर आई थिंक इन मेनी ऑफ द हाउस होल्ड डिसीजन कि क्या खाना बनेगा और इन सब चीज़ों में औरतों का होता है, बट व्हेन वी हैव टू डिसाइड कि वेयर द चिल्ड्रन आर गोइंग टू स्टडी, व्हाट विल बी द फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग ऑफ द हाउस, प्रॉपर्टी का कैसा रहेगा।
You mean hard decisions, difficult decisions, important decisions are made by patriarchy only, है ना? This is what you are. Okay, last question from my side. I think I should ask you a very simple question. Can you name some matriarchal society among tribes?
Yes, sir. Some tribes of Meghalaya, like Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia, follow matriarchal system. But apart from that, many of the tribals in Jharkhand are not matriarchal because women are not given rights equal to the male.
Equal right misnomer है या हो सकता है?
हो सकता है equal rights.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Sir.
Hello, Namrata.
Hello, sir.
I'll continue with the discussion going on around women rights only. Can you trace the evolution of women's movement in India post-independence?
Women's movement in India mostly began in 1970s after independence. Before independence, it was mainly because of issues like women education and ending of social evils like Dahej and Sati Pratha, etc. And after independence, women were given right to vote, and also these kind of social evils were taken care of.
Were they given right to vote after independence?
All the women were given after independence. Some women had right to vote, but it was based on many factors like property, etc. before independence.
Okay.
So 1970s, around 1970s, some feminist movement began in India for equal rights in social sphere, for participation in workforce, and also for equal wages and safety and security in public places.
And what has been the role of globalization in affecting the women's movement?
Globalization has an impact on women movement because whatever happening world over is also reflected in India's movements. For example, the Me Too movement started from the foreign, but it percolated to India, and many of the women came out with their grievances in related to sexual abuse.
So speaking of globalization only, do you think due to globalization, India, a lot of social changes got imposed on the Indian society, which the society was not ready for?
Yes, sir, we can say that in some
Can you cite a few examples where we felt that these are superimposed changes in the society which are creating disruption? And is it a good thing?
In gender issues only, sir, the impact of globalization, etc., gave women equal right in all aspects. For example, in education sector and in work environment. But since our society was not very ready to accept this challenge, so women are facing backlash at the workplaces. They are facing impacts like lower wages and impacts of safety and security. So our society has not evolved in a very natural way, and this has led to creation of some problems.
And what is the solution for this?
Sir, whatever changes have taken place will take time for the acceptance, but with the growing education and awareness, we are slowly moving in that direction. And
So why should we allow it in the first place, right? We should shut ourselves to the outside world in terms of social change. Move along in our own sweet pace. Should not that be the way?
Sir, I think the changes which are needed and which are positive changes we cannot shut out it forever, because someone will demand it, someone will seek for it. And if we go at a very slow pace, then it will take a lot of time. So this kind of changes will help to increase the pace of the positive changes that we are looking at.
Okay. Can you also tell me what has been the impact of the Green Revolution in terms of changing the caste relations in India?
The areas of Green Revolution saw great profitability, especially for the large farmers in northwestern UP and Punjab and these kind of states. And it created a new class of dominant caste. For example, Jat in UP and these kind of castes. And these become economically rich, and also they rose into the local hierarchy. And this has also led to creation of new kind of problem presently, because these dominant castes are only demanding for a reservation when the gains from the Green Revolution have diminished.
All right. And I see you've done your engineering in biosciences.
Yes, sir.
And you've done your job also related to that field only, or was it an IT job?
Yes, sir. It was an IT job.
IT job.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why did you switch your field then for job? And then you again switched back from IT to sociology.
Sir, in IT, I was getting good opportunities while at the campus placement, and I wanted to experience the corporate life, so I took it. And sociology, I had developed interest in college only, as the compulsory HSS, some humanities courses we have to take as a curriculum in IIT. So I liked the subject, so I pursued it in Civil Services Examination.
Can you tell me the difference between a live virus, an inundated virus, and an inactive virus?
So these are two methods of vaccine development. In live virus, the virus is slightly weakened and injected into the body so that it can...
and give me examples also.
So that it can lead to immune response. And the live virus example is oral polio vaccine. And inactivated oral polio vaccine is also there, which is the example of inactivated virus. That the virus is dead and then it is injected, so that it does not cause any adverse reaction in immunocompromised people.
And how about the vaccine we are developing for coronavirus? What technique are we using there?
We have used several techniques. One is mRNA-based vaccine, in which some strand of RNA is being used as an instruction to the cell to produce the spike protein. We have also developed the inactivated virus. For example, Covaxin is based on inactivated technology.
Namrata, what do you mean by biowarfare?
Sir, biowarfare is use of biological agents. For example, microbes and bacteria and fungus and this kind of deadly organisms which can cause
when coronavirus broke out, so there was a narrative that China is imposing a biowarfare on the world. Do you agree with that view?
Sir, I do not have any evidence to support that it was a biowarfare. Also, the investigation by WHO has not been completed, so I'm not able to say if it was it.
Do you think that India should develop its own offensive or deterrence, let's say deterrence, against biowarfare?
Yes, sir. India should certainly be prepared for it, because India has a very huge population and
Not be prepared for it. What I said was, should we develop an offensive against biowarfare like we have against nuclear weapons?
Sir, it involves very ethical issues, and I don't think India have any plans of preparing this kind of because using
Is there something that is preventing us from doing it?
Sir, I'm not aware if any country has prepared in such kind of way, because this is very unnatural way of fighting a war and involves a lot of ethical concerns. So maybe this should be avoided by...
legal also, right? India has signed biological and chemical convention.
Yes, yes.
And ratified also. So
Yes,
we cannot do it.
Right.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's
you,
it
sir.
from my end.
Thank you, sir.
Can you tell me what is the TFR of India right now?
Sir, it is 2.
Okay. So does that mean that India's population has stagnated now?
Sir, India's population is still growing, because the TFR of 2 has not been achieved in all the states. Some states like UP, Bihar are having total fertility rate of around 3 and more than that. So overall, India's population has not been stagnated. But as these states are able to reach the replacement rate, then the population will stagnate and even start to decrease.
Okay. So do you think that like certain states still have very high TFR? So do you think that Population Control Act should be there that limits the number of children that a family can have?
Sir, in India, the National Population Policy 2000 proposed that it should be based on voluntary family planning based on informed choice, and it has worked very well in the case of India, as we have seen the total fertility rate going below the replacement level. So while we have achieved so much without the law, there is no need to put a law, and then it will lead to a lot of problems, like people already having many children, and these kind of social problems may arise.
All right. Okay. So, say we do not go for a coercive, approach, but there can be other approaches like inducing, which we call an inducing approach, that we limit the benefits.
Yes.
You have more children than a certain number, a certain threshold, the access to welfare measures would be limited. So should that approach be adopted, or should we just let the things happen the way they are going?
Sir, I would say that some incentives might be given for producing less children, like priority in welfare schemes and these kind of things, tax incentive, but
Okay.
punishing someone, because childbirth is not a short-term process, so punishing would not be a good idea.
All right, very right. The government has taken a step regarding marriageable age. Can you tell me what is that?
The government has come up with a bill to increase the age of marriage of women from 18 years to 21 years, and the bill has been sent to the Parliamentary Committee for deliberation.
Which act is being amended?
Child Marriage Act.
Prohibition of Child Marriage Act.
Yes,
Very right. And do you think that this is a progressive measure? This is the direction we should go? Or does it impact, or does it have a negative impact also?
Sir, I think this move will have many benefits. For example, women will have the opportunity to participate in higher education and female labor force participation. And also there will be health gains for the women because early marriage leads to early pregnancy and maternal mortality. But there will be some issues also from this bill, because the age is not a problem. The main problem is poverty. And because of the dowry and poverty issues, women are married early. So merely bringing the law will not be enough, and we will have to solve these issues of women's safety, issues of dowry, and also provide women education and labor force participation opportunities, so that they are not seen as burden to the family.
Okay, all right, very right. Okay, one last question from my side. Have you heard about Roe versus Wade case? It is in news recently. It is not related to India, but it is in news.
No.
Roe versus Wade.
No.
Okay, all right. No issues. That's all from my side.